Hi. As a once completely beautiful and young strapping sex god of man, I had a few girlfriends who took me to new levels on a spiritual plane of sexuality. So today I thought we'd talk about sex from a romantic point of view, a logistical point of view, a rational point of view, a philosophical point of view, a religious point of view, a moral point of view, a political point of view, and a global point of view. And I think I can speak for a lot of people of a more solemn, introspective, peaceable nature when I declare that sex is really quite I mean, like, oh, God, isn't that grim? You know what I mean? And I mean, I know the primal among you disagree quite badly with me, but objectively, from a very cerebral, intellectual point of view, looking at it face value, in your face value, things like, to try and be polite about matters, the art of cunnilinguingu is, frankly, really gross. Really gross. And I've never even gone near gay activity because that sounds just the worst to me. Like, you know, God says it's an abomination, so I'm not one to quibble. And I've never even bothered thinking otherwise, but clearly there are others who think otherwise, but leave me alone. You know, I leave you alone, you leave me alone. Tit for tat. Hat. Right. And the point is that, it's so gross. And there's all this humping and pumping. I mean, honestly, we all were raised in the 80s on very beautiful romantic sci-fi films where the princesses were to die for. And the heroes were moral, good, righteous, heroic, and in space fighters or something. And everything was wonderful. And that's what we believe love was, right? But as in this modern generation, with all this filth online, and people raised on porn, hardcore porn. We weren't raised on hardcore porn. Our entire generation didn't really have it in the UK in the 80s. We did not. And you could get it in magazines, and if you were really smutty, you'd send off abroad for a VHS tape that was really illegal, right? But we were much more morally raised in a sound form of good, cultivated Christian thinking in the bedrock of the social fabric. But now, well, it's just not very romantic, is it? I mean, it's really boning, hardcore boning, like, take you for 4 or 5 minutes, I mean, oh God, it's deranged, it's like some kind, it's like we're slowly descending into Dante's layer of hell, you know, the layer of the perverts, where they're all rotting in blood, and, I've not even read that book, but I know what he's talking about at one level, because I, too, have a vivid mind of knowing God. And no, perverts are not saved. I'm sorry, but they're not. You've got to have a bit of class if you want to get into heaven. And the filthy, moronic, deviant psychopaths of wickedry who willfully deny the dictates of the Holy Father are cag, as far as I can see. But I'm not going to hurt them, because murder is a hellfire sin. And I don't want to oppress them, I just piss them off. So, live and let live, but, you know, my right to not involve myself with such things is my right to do that under God, as equally under the law. Well, no, it's actually more equal than you're equal, technically on a holy level of theocratic principles, though we're technically a monarchy, but the theocracy is imbued into the monastic system in very deep and elaborate tentacles of reality. It's a complex business being alive and a human being. The mind is an extraordinary facet of God's genius. And I welcome it. I welcome my mind vividly. I love it. I wish to never poison it again on unholy LSD. I've come to learn that a few beers and a few smokes, you know, I'm alright with that. And God's not too bad about that, right? But the chemical shit, that's when your life starts to go down sin hell alley very rapidly. And the shit hits the fan, and the chaos molds, and your crazy psychos start emerging, and you can actually go psychotic on weed. But it's also a remarkable herbal remedy for those it benefits. And I will state that, because I can't state otherwise. Because it has helped me so much just to live as an asthmatic schizophrenic who nearly died at the age of 14 from pneumonia. Well, It's been a diamond struggle. I don't really know what to say about the 90s. Beyond Left Field and other awesome bands in fields, in summer days, off our tits. In our thousands. It was lunacy. Also, I thought looking back, it was just great freedom. Whatever it was a life better than in many cultures around the world. My God, we were lucky children, en masse. All classes were spoilt by the government for many years, actually at one level if you look at it. Compared to truly oppressive regimes in foreign countries, hideously led nations of utter horror and evil. No. Britain internally it doesn't really do evil. Whatever you think about the matter, they don't. Murder is still a very vivid crime. Theft is a crime. Sexual perversion is weakening because of the amount of advocates it has pressing for its use. But in that they remain somewhat civilised and aren't yet banging on the doors wanting to derange us and cut our heads off for being Christian boors in this world of holified wonder under Yah, the Creator. But no, I know. Everyone thinks I'm a weirdo because I believe in God. No one believes in God in the modern world because it's a secular world and everyone thinks they know what's up and they think they're well educated and they think they know what they're doing and they think they know the truth. And I'm like, yeah, right. You wouldn't believe my truth if I told you. No. You wouldn't believe it. I can hardly believe it, but apart from the fact that I know it happened. So that's that. And I won't go into detail. I've talked about this before, I'm sure. But what can I do? I am stuck here. Miracle man, it seems. Born of the Lord's grace. And imbued with knowledge of God the Almighty Wonder. Thank the Lord. And I do not regret that knowledge, one bit. I have been persecuted by a lot of morons. And they are morons. Many of them don't even know what the word euhemerism means. Not aneurysm, euhemerism. And they think they know or understand reality. Most people can't handle negativity. This is why most people can't handle deep thinking. Because life isn't a delusional, positive, upward, consistent cruise perpetually for all. And yet to be real, to be true, to stay to yourself, isn't that either. You have to know the lows to understand the highs. This is the equilibrium of frequencies. If you're permanently jetting off on a delusion, however morally sound or legal or cultured, it's still a delusion. Right? Whereas people who know who they are and can tolerate any level of philosophy, can tolerate any level of philosophy. So if you're sat around a table and someone's getting deep, you don't freak out, you don't get heavy, you know what they're talking about. It doesn't matter what they're talking about, because if you know philosophy and you're well read enough, you'll understand that what they're talking about is just what they're talking about, what they know. Okay? And therefore there's nothing to fear. If you don't know something, that's not a sin. Ask them questions, he might be an expert. Right? But there's nothing to fear these people. Okay? Because most people don't know much. And the people that do know a lot, only know a lot in a specific field or a niche. Omniscience is something unknown to humanity. Not even the angels are omniscient. So you see, there is nothing to fear but your own delusions of what they're representing. But what they're representing at the end of the day is their own cellular makeup in consciousness. So unless they're violent or hostile or criminal or murderous, which is something to actually fear, which more often than not, right? If you can't handle what they're talking about, if they're getting angry, that's different. But if they're talking about wisdom, and it doesn't matter how deep it gets, it doesn't matter how involved, how difficult to understand, listen. And you might learn something profound. I know it's hard to do for stupid people, like my friend Natty, because he couldn't even handle a basic pattern of numbers I tried to show him. And it really upset me though, actually. Because I thought, why are people so afraid to open their minds to actuality? And I haven't yet come up with a clear and present answer as far as I can determine. However, I'm quite good at it, and I'm willing to do it, because that's kind of what I do. I'm prepared to go to the places that, in my mind, that other people are too afraid to go to. This is my mind, why shouldn't I? But my mind is your mind in a sense, and that we're all human beings. Do you get me? I hope that makes sense. So I'm prepared to challenge the operations and machinations of my consciousness to truly garner and understand the value of this thing we call life. And I'm not doing hard drugs anymore because I've done them and they fuck you right up, right? But in the realms of understanding the truth philosophically, logically, politically, spiritually, holistically, emotionally, etc., all these things, the core root is God. And nothing can take us away from that. And nothing should take us away from that. And you should not desire for anything to take us away from that. Because in that we have salvation. And that's all we really need. Anything else is just vanity, vanity, all is vanity. You know, it's piffery, it's icing on fruitcakes. It's nonsense. What we have is what we need so often. And yet do we celebrate and dance and relish the joys and luxuries we are all festooned with in? No. We sit and hate and morose online, calling for revolution and war and communism and fascism and anti-Islam or whatever it may be. And oh God, all these ideologies, it's all shouting into a file drive, basically, into a massive file called Wangers. And I include myself, I've done it, but you know, it's just ridiculous, isn't it? Wake up, as they say, all these wokey lefties. Wake up, wake up, wake up and love this fucking weirdo. Right, well, you know, I have been awake since 1995 when I was hailed by God. And they think I'm madder than a chestnut's whippet. And I'm thus sectioned and under mind control drugs by the system in a non-dystopian society seeking control of its populace. Not nefarious control, rational, reasonable, lawful control. And when psychosis pops into the mix, that's when pre-crime are called. And pre-crime does exist in this country. I will tell you that now. There is a form of pre-crime operating in the UK, and I only know because I was a recipient of their work and spent 3 months sectioned for apparently entering realms of psychosis that were not of the norm. I didn't feel pain. I thought everything that happened to me was completely real. But, of course, when the police come with machine guns on your door over a misunderstanding, that's what gets people a bit narked. And we won't go there, that was a long time ago. Anyway, much better now, all is good, thank the Lord, Jesus Christ is the winner. Well done everyone. Good night.